Hello everyone, it's Daryl, the Northern Vinyl Guy here, back at you with another music video. And this one is another thread response. I mentioned this before that I'm really enjoying doing these thread responses. This thread response is for Craig at Spirit of Vinyl. He has been supporting my channel ever since subscribing a little while back. And for this video, I'm going to return the favor. He had 4 questions from a video about 3 weeks ago that he posted. I will leave the link to that video in the comment section below. And yeah, so check him out. Really great guy. If you like 70s and 80s music, especially that rock music, Kiss, Megadeth, Iron Maiden, all those different bands from the 70s and 80s, you will dig his channel. He's got quite a few videos about those. So without further ado, here we are. So the first question that he had on his thread was to show the record that I have owned the longest in my collection. Now, I stopped collecting CDs about 20 years ago, I would say, and about 15 years ago, I mentioned this in one of my other videos, I threw out all the cases to my CDs because at the time I thought it was just too bulky and was taking up a little bit of space. Kind of ironic seeing all the records I have here behind me and how bulky and how much space they take up. However, I did end up keeping all of the discs for my CDs. And so the oldest one that I have that I purchased with my own money was Ace of Base's The Sign. Of course, they're a band that is, I guess they would be the 1990s version of ABBA. And so there you go, a little bit of Ace of Base, early 1990s. I think it was 92. This came out, something along those lines, but early 90s. But I like to do this as an aside. You know, obviously in the 70s and early 80s, they had K-Tel records. And then going into the 90s, they started doing a whole pile of different series, similar, I guess, to the K-Tel idea, where they had a whole pile of different various artists on CD. And my oldest one of those would be this one. It was called Too Awesome on the red disc here. And I used to listen to this all the time. What did it have on here? It had En Vogue, John Cicada, Sophie B. Hawkins, Kathy Dennis, KWS, Sir Mix-a-Lot, and Baby Got Back. And I used to really like the last song, They Want Effects by DOS Effects. So Too Awesome. These are probably the 2 oldest ones that I purchased with my own money, going back to my high school days. So I would have been in grade 9, roughly, back in those days. Number 2. The oldest record that I own. So depending on how we want to look at this, do we want to look at it as in things like 78s, or do we want an actual LP? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on both. So for the first one, this one dates back to 1927, and this is a John McCormack, Irish singer, and this is a 78. On side A, it features the song Marcata. And then on the side B, Somewhere a Voice is Calling. And of course you can see the little sticker there. Not too much value in these, but it's kind of cool. Every time I hold these particular discs, I have 3 of them, one from 1927, and I have 2 from the 1940s. I always feel like they're going to break, probably because they are that thicker shellac kind of stuff that if you dropped it, it would shatter. So that is if I'm going with a 78. If I'm going with an album, my oldest one is Frankie Land and Command Performance. I featured this on a Vinyl Finds video a couple months ago. And this is performances that he did, I believe, at concerts in, I think it was the United Kingdom. Yeah, the British Isles, sorry, the British Isles. And this one's from 1955, Frankie Lane. Brings me back. This is on the Columbia label, looks like 6i, the maroon looking label. But Frankie Laine always brings me back to my grandfather, who was a huge fan of Frankie Laine. And I guess you would say that it was kind of that early 1940s, late 1940s, early 1950s country crooner. I wouldn't call it rock or anything like that, but you know, the typical pump music from back in those times. So Frankie Laine, 1955, Command Performance. My most obscure record, I was having a little bit of trouble figuring this one out, but I came across this one in my collection, and according to Discogs, only 11 people own it, but 71 people want this one, and there's only one copy for sale on Discogs right now. It is currently selling for $253 Canadian, or 185 US on Discogs. And that is this album, Music from the Powerhouse in the Spirit of Sharing, which was released independently. It's a Canadian press, and it's Cree music, Indigenous music. The looks of it, different musicians from across Canada. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, this is really cool. 1985 is when this was released. We'll just show you the back of the cover, and I'm assuming that is the Powerhouse, that old factory there where the recordings must have taken place. But yeah, so different Indigenous musicians: Lawrence Martin, Bob Charlie, Eric Landry, Elin Sands, Leland Bell, Brian Davey, Blue Goose, and Bar Road. So Powerhouse. Definitely an obscure press. I don't know how many copies there were. I managed to actually pick this up for $1 at just a used goods store a few months ago. So yeah, it's selling for a lot of money. All right, number 4. What is the rarest press that I have in my collection? This was a no-brainer for me. Yes, I'm going to cheat on this one. However, it doesn't matter. I know for a fact there are only 3 copies of this record. From 2010 to 2012, I was in a local band, and I had 3 pressings of this made, 1 for me and 2 for a couple of other people. And I was in a band called Nimble Lorry, and this is our, I guess you would call it an EP, but it's on 33, Consensual Ripoff. And on the back side, we've got a little bit of a Dead Starfish, which there's an instrumental on here called Dead Starfish Highway. That photo was taken when I went out to Newfoundland. I just happened to look down, and there was a starfish that was squashed on the highway, so I took a photo of it. Thought it was fitting. But yeah, there are only 3 pressings of this, my own band. If you would like to listen to a song of ours, there is actually a video on YouTube called Relative Gains, which is the opener on this particular album. But yeah, only 3 songs, or sorry, only 3 copies of that made. The copy that I made for myself is it's on blue vinyl. So yeah, see-through blue. And then the copies that I made for the other 2 were the see-through clear. So yeah, I'm quite proud of that. We were quite proud of that as a band. You know, we never recorded anything or released anything on the radio. Just something fun that we did. So those were digital files that were pressed onto an album. Nimble Lorry, my own band, at question number 4. And then the final question was, what is the most expensive, according to the median on Discogs, what is the most expensive album in your collection? And for me, I didn't want to do the box set. I do have one Rod Stewart box set, which I'd like to talk about in a later video. But if it comes to gatefolds or individual albums, that is definitely this one. And that is my Red Dead Redemption 2 original soundtrack, featuring the producer Daniel Lanois, who is Canadian. But this is the from the video game Rockstar game. And that is the red vinyl there. I will take out the album here. But according to Discogs, I mean, I'm not one of those people that I just don't have the money to be buying like expensive butcher copies of the Beatles and all that kind of stuff. But this one is valued at $110, according to the median. When I purchased this well before COVID, I only paid, I think it was $40 for this, including shipping. So we've got that, the insides of the cover there. And even Willie Nelson has a couple of songs featured on here. Cruel World is the one that he's noted for on here, but Daniel Lanois, fantastic. It's a 4-disc set. So yeah, my Red Dead Redemption 2 soundtrack. So, you know, I mean, my collection, we're not looking at thousands of dollars of individual records, but I thought that was something cool. I did not realize that. And in fact, if we go back to that obscure record that I have, the Powerhouse one, I suppose you could say that if I were to sell it, seeing there's only one being sold on there for $250, we could probably argue that from a value perspective, I'm going to sell it. That one is worth quite a bit more. But the median for now is that Red Dead track, or Red Dead album. So if you have not checked out Craig Spirit of Vinyl, please do so. I will leave a link to his channel down below. And as always, if you like my content, please continue. Leave me a thumbs up. Leave some comments down in the section below. And if you are a new viewer to the channel, please subscribe if you are interested in my stuff. Check out my previous content and some of my playlists that I have. And until next time, we will see you on the flip side. Have a good one, everyone.